Hello, my friends. Thanks for coming to play with the ideas that I present on my channel. As I'm working through decades of meditation downloads, coalescing them into 3 books, I had a part that was missing. I had, when you really study the material, you see, oh, wait a minute, I don't know how that happened. And could I get an explanation for that? So the other day, I sat in meditation and went out in my mental vehicle. Some part of my mind goes. I don't know what part. Um, and I was with the elephant again. Now, I've been with this elephant teacher about 5 times over the decades, and I believe that he is a teacher at the elephant consciousness level. And I just get to connect with him. So we were talking about completion. How do we know what our purpose is here so that we can work toward completion? And completion only means that we have different choices. So if we've completed what we wanted to express in this density, then we could choose to go somewhere else and do something else. And it's not a trap, it's just an internal feeling of completion. He did talk about reincarnation. Uh, there's a river across the road from our house, and there are these plants that come up. They're called skunk cabbage, and they come up incredibly early out of the muck, right? And then for the rest of the summer, you notice them when they first come up because there's nothing else alive around in this practically as soon as the snow melts. And then they kind of disappear back into the muck. And he was saying, well, that's what the human life is like. It's incredibly brief, right? Um, so there's a theme of flow in all 3 books. What the elephant was explaining to me about feeling complete in our life path here, our mission, our intent. There's a lot of names for this, but we feel this completion in different flows. And one of the flows kind of blew me away. I mean, I know about it, but I never thought about it in those terms. And that is the flow of our individual personality evolutionary track. Okay, well, that's how things come, right? In lots of words, and then I have to break it down. We can see this in very small children, like 2 and 3-year-olds, who are savants at playing the piano, mathematics, athletics, any number of things. Well, you know, this wasn't their first time as a personality incarnating with the activity of being a musician, being an athlete, being an artist. You know, these, it's irrefutable to me proof of reincarnation. But our personality has an evolution. And he used me as an example, which he often does, because I've been working toward this particular lifetime for, oh, goodness, I don't even know how long, right? And so if I feel complete on the level of my personal expression of, immersing myself in the unseen realities, being very interested in energy, how it relates to spirituality. Those have been the themes of my personality for a long time. So when I chose, maybe I did choose when I was a baby to be in such incredible pain as soon as I was born, to be in and out of my body. It's so that I could keep the link to spirituality. But enough about me. So we are also humans with human mind. And because we are flowing with the evolution of species, evolutionary track, right? We are in this density within the evolution of humanity on this planet. So that is one aspect of our completion. Now, there are definitely people who are devoted to species evolution, that flow. And I would guess, maybe people who are drawn to, in a good way, to being doctors or researchers who are moving with the flow of where humanity is evolving to on this planet. And then he talked about our soul evolutionary track, our soul intent. Now, our soul is born from the matrix of the eternal. And think about that as matrix as being threads or strings or lines in energy. This is the oneness that we call God. And there's a frequency, there's a vibration. So think of all this, imagine like strings, woven together, but not closely, vibrating. There is an interesting thing that I found. It's CYMANTICS. This is when matter is vibrated at certain frequencies and it makes different forms, right? And that's how the elephant explained it to me. So when our oversoul, because we're not individualized in our soul right at first, emerges as intent from the frequency of the matrix of this God, eternal oneness, it happens through a frequency or vibration. And the frequency or vibration is our God-given intent. It's what we call our God-given intent. And so I know my being, this happens out of being, and this is going to be a long part of the beginning of one of the books, right? So the intent comes out of this vibrating frequency and forms a sphere of light, because that's the only way we can relate to energy. That's how it appears to me, is this huge ball of light, right? So they all have different color tones. And this is our soul. So mine and a lot of what I attract around me is soulmates, but soulmates from like way back, like animals, plants, people that have the same golden tone to their soul. Now, the beings are in different colors. So there is a color tonal resonance with people who are derived from the same being energy here. The purpose of our, and I will say our being, is called bridging the gap. So, for example, in matter, if you've ever seen Arches National Park, there are bridges made out of stone, right? In animals, you might see a hybrid of say cats. I've had tiger point Siamese several times in my life, and what they are is a combination of a regular tiger cat and a Siamese at some point genetically. So they are tiger pointed instead of the traditional Siamese color. That would be a way of bridging the gap. Now, people who bridge the gap in physical work might be mediators, right? Ambassadors. In the animal world, it could be an animal that runs between different groups of animals, conveying information, might be a person that runs between. It's bridging a gap in some way. So for me, it's pretty clear what gaps I'm bridging, because I just wanted to express all this and leave it here before as a skunk cabbage before the image of me disappeared back into the muck, right? I think that's why I wore green today. Skunk cabbage is green. Anyway, um, so when we feel complete on our soul evolutionary track, on our immersion into the human mind, that evolutionary track, and the enmeshment in physicality on the earth has her own flow. The earth has her own evolutionary track. So whenever we're in this density, there is a flow through us. Now there's a river across the road from us, and the name of the river is Ashwelot or Ashwelot. Some people pronounce it Ashwelot. And I'm sure that this is a phonetic interpretation of the First Nation name for this river. But what it means is the gathering of many waters. Okay. So if you look at moi, because I'm standing here, right? I am the gathering of the soul being, God given intent, flow, the human mind flow, evolutionary track, right here, right now on the planet, and immersed in time and life, which relates only to our density, and the flow, the evolutionary track of the earth. So when you say, who am I? It's kind of a complex answer, right? I'd love to hear what you think about this. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun these days, and I hope you are well and reach for the very highest frequency you can. So until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed. Thanks for coming.